Somewhere along the way, we convinced an entire generation that tears equal weakness, that real men don't cry, that showing emotion makes you less of a man. And we've created a generation of emotionally constipated men who would rather explode in anger than shed a single tear. Here's what I need you to understand. The strongest men I know aren't afraid to cry. I'm a father, and today we are talking about one of the most damaging lies ever sold to men, that crying makes you weak. This lie has destroyed more men than war, addiction, and failure combined. Because when you can't process your emotions, they don't just disappear. They turn into rage or complete emotional shutdown. It's time we set the record straight about what real strength looks like. Let's be honest about what this generation has done to masculinity. We've confused strength with stoicism. We've taught men that feeling nothing makes you strong, when actually it makes you empty. We have confused toughness with emotional numbness. We've told men to stand up and suck it up until they can't feel anything. We've confused vulnerability with weakness. We have made men believe that showing their heart makes them less of a man, when actually it makes them more human. And the result, we have men walking around like emotional zombies, disconnected from their families, their purpose, living half of a life because they're afraid to experience the full spectrum of human emotion. This isn't strength. This is cowardice designed as masculinity. Here's what real strength actually looks like. Real strength is feeling your emotions and not being controlled by them. It's not about not crying. It's about crying when you need to and still being able to function. Real strength is being vulnerable when it matters. It takes more courage to show your heart than to hide behind a mask of indifference. Real strength is emotional intelligence, understanding what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and how to process it in a healthy way. Look at the strongest men in history. David, the warrior king, who wrote poetry about emotions and cried openly when he lost his son. Jesus, who wept at his friend's grave and wasn't ashamed of his tears. Lincoln, who battled depression his entire life and still led a nation through its darkest hour. Churchill, who openly wept during World War II and still inspired a nation to victory. See, these weren't weak men. These were men who understood that strength includes the full range of human emotion. They didn't cry because they were weak. They cried because they were strong enough to feel deeply. Here's why crying is actually a sign of strength, not weakness. Crying requires courage. In a world that tells men not to cry, it takes guts to let the tears fall. You are choosing authenticity over approval. Crying shows you care deeply. You don't cry over things that don't matter to you. Tears are proof that you have something worth fighting for, something worth protecting. Crying is emotional release. When you hold everything in, it builds pressure until you explode. Crying is the pressure valve that keeps you sane. Crying connects you to others. When you're willing to be vulnerable, it gives others permission to be vulnerable as well. It builds relationships instead of surface level connections. Crying processes trauma. Your body needs to release the pain, the grief, the disappointment. Tears are how your soul cleanses itself. The men who are afraid to cry aren't strong. They're terrified. Terrified of being seen as human. Terrified of being judged. Terrified of feeling the full weight of their emotions. But you know what's actually terrifying? Being disconnected from your own heart. Now let me be clear. There's a difference between healthy emotional expression and emotional instability. Crying when you're overwhelmed, grieving, or deeply moved, that's strength. Crying to manipulate others or avoid responsibility, that's weakness. Crying and then taking action to address what made you cry, that's wisdom. Crying and then wallowing in self-pity without doing anything, that's immaturity. The goal is to be emotionally honest, to feel what you need to feel, process it in a healthy way, and then move forward with clarity and purpose. They cry because they're strong enough to face their emotions head on. They cry because they care deeply about something. They cry because they're human. It's the foundation of all real strength. Here's my challenge to you. Stop apologizing for your emotions. You don't need to say sorry for feeling deeply about something that matters to you. Stop hiding behind anger. If you're sad, be sad. If you're hurt, acknowledge the hurt. Anger is often just sadness wearing a mask. Stop judging other men for their tears. When you see a man cry, don't see weakness. See courage. See humanity. See strength. And if you need to cry, cry. Don't hold it in until it turns into something destructive. Let it out. Process it. And then get back to the work of being the man you're called to be. See, real men aren't afraid of their emotions. They're afraid of being controlled by them. There's a difference between being emotional and being emotionally intelligent. Between crying and being weak. Between vulnerability and stability. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs permission to be human. And remember, your tears don't make you less of a man. They make you more of one. Lead with conviction, even when your eyes are wet. Until next time.